The large majority of us at some point in the winter are going to experience those mild dips in moods or when we're feeling less motivated or extra tired. And that's very common given the season that we're living in. But when do you know when it's more than just I'm tired but I'm going to be okay until you're feeling like I don't know, I don't feel like myself anymore and I just cannot pull out of this. Do you want to achieve your goals but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you counseling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. Welcome back to Practical Solutions for PTSD. Today we're going to tackle one of my favorite topics to talk about because I love to be able to give you all some practical tips for how to overcome that. And that is seasonal affective disorder or seasonal depression. So a lot of people are going to be feeling a little bit down through the wintertime because it's how your body just naturally handles what's going on. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But it could just be as simple as winter blues. So you may ask yourself, am I dealing with winter blues or is this seasonal affective disorder? And we're going to get into that, talking about the difference of that here in just a second. We're going to split this into a two-part series because I want to stay true to my promise to give you guys short episodes during the month of December to help facilitate your busy holiday schedule. And the only way I can do that is to split this into two episodes. So we are going to do that. I'm also going to be providing some resources on Facebook, so check that out if you're not a member already. You can go to search on Facebook for Overcome Depression and Anxiety. Use positive psychology to combat PTSD. You'll have to request to join because it's a private group, but we'd be happy to have you there. I'm going to provide some self-check guides, some wellness guides that you can do in conjunction with seasonal affective disorder and the winter blues that kind of help you through that. So we're going to explore the difference between winter blues and seasonal affective disorder. We're going to talk about how chronic stress and trauma can affect how you're dealing with this and how you're feeling in the wintertime. And best of all, this is my favorite part, is to provide some practical tools for you to use that you can implement today to help you if you're struggling. And we're going to have more practical tools for next week. I'm going to share some with you this week and some next week. So take a deep breath, get your favorite cozy blanket and a cup of hot beverage, and let's get started on this. So first of all, let's talk about winter blues and what they are. Most people will actually deal with winter blues at some point in the wintertime. And some of those common signals could include mild dips in mood, little less motivation than normal. You're feeling sleepier or slower, just kind of sluggish. You're craving warm comfort foods or cozy routines, just something that your body and your mind is really wanting. Maybe that warm bowl of soup or sitting down by the fireplace with a warm blanket and your cozy socks on. You're wanting to hibernate a bit. And this is all natural biological responses that you're having to the shorter days. So you have less sunlight, which is going to increase your melatonin and decrease amount of serotonin, which is going to affect your circadian rhythm. So, except for you guys that are in the southern hemisphere, like my Australian listeners or South Africa, wherever you may be, you're going to have the reverse. You're going to be in the middle of summer right now. But for those of you in the northern hemisphere, this is going to be something you're going to be dealing with for the next few months. And it's totally normal. It's completely normal response. Your brain is basically saying, hey, it's been dark for a long time, so it must be night, right? Because I am so tired. And it's just because you're not getting enough sunlight. And there's some other factors, obviously, but that's a big one. So the thing with winter blues is it doesn't typically take over your life. You may be feeling a bit down, not quite yourself. You're feeling a little heavy or off, but you can still function. Your normal function, day-to-day routines, you're keeping up with that, just with a little bit of support and some comfort along the way. So this is where seasonal affective disorder really differs from winter blues, and that is that seasonal affective disorder can and will disrupt your day-to-day life. It's not just a bad mood. Seasonal affective disorder, or SADS, is actually a clinical subtype of depression. It has very clear seasonal markers, which is where it gets its name. And so this is symptoms that are going to come on during specific times of the year, and they can be very predictable. Because they're predictable, you can start coming up with defenses against those. So some of the symptoms of seasonal affective disorder is persistent sadness or hopelessness, noticeably lower energy levels, you're sleeping too much or too little. Now, the too little is more likely to hit for spring, summer SADS, but it can hit for winter as well. You're withdrawing from people, and this is going to be even increased exponentially if you're already dealing with things like PTSD or trauma of other kinds, a lot of stress, things like that is going to make this even more emphasized. But you're going to withdraw from people more. It's one of the symptoms. A loss of interest in normal, enjoyable activities. And these are things you're going to normally find a lot of joy in, and you just don't want to do them anymore. You have trouble concentrating and focusing. Increased carb cravings. Yay, I love my carbs. And some weight changes, which could be due in part to all those carbs that you're craving. But there's also other things going on that can be affecting the weight as well. So you're feeling slowed down, kind of like you're just walking through a fog or maybe walking through wet concrete. You feel very overwhelmed, or you're overwhelmed very easily. You have difficulty functioning from day to day, like just simple day-to-day tasks that normally don't take hardly any emotional energy. You feel like it's just, climbing Mount Everest. I remember I used to, in some of my harder days, I would literally bribe myself to do the dishes because I just didn't have it in me to do it any other way. So with winter blues, you're usually thinking, oh, I'm just tired, but I'll be okay. I'll make it through that. But with SADS, you could be feeling like, oh, I'm just not myself anymore. I don't feel like myself, and I cannot pull out of this. So because of that, because of all the symptoms we've talked about, SADS can disrupt your work. It can disrupt your relationships, can interfere with your daily routine, and you can't just snap out of it. Your symptoms are going to linger. They may even deepen during the coming weeks and months. So another thing that can make those symptoms even worse is that when you're dealing with trauma, chronic stress, maybe you're dealing with grief. I've had some friends that have lost loved ones recently, burnout or prolonged anxiety. Your nervous system is already peaked out dealing with all of that. And so when you hit the winter time, which is going to cause additional stress on your nervous system, it's going to make it even worse. So all those, the trauma, the chronic stress, grief, burnout, prolonged anxiety, all of that can compound the effects of seasonal affective disorder and make it even harder. Darkness can feel very isolating or unsafe when you've dealt with trauma. It kind of triggers that trauma brain. Less sunlight can increase the fatigue that you're already dealing with. And then less social contact can trigger old stories like, I'm alone, I'm unsafe, I'm not enough. Cold and silence and dark mornings can mimic stress states. So all these things in the wintertime, if you're already dealing with emotional stress, it's putting pressure on your nervous system, it's going to make it even harder because it has to work. It's already working overtime because of what you're dealing with. And then you have all the winter heaviness on top of that. It's going to make it worse. So that winter heaviness, it's not weakness. Please understand this and be kind to yourself. It's your system doing its best under an extra heavy load. So no negative self-talk here. Be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would your friend. Pace yourself. This is super, super important to make sure you're pacing yourself and not using all your energy at once, understanding that you're super tired, and then use some gentle care. And these are very important and very key to be able to take care of yourself. And as promised, here's your practical tools. The biggest one is light and sun exposure. This is part of the reason that the whole thing that drives seasonal affective disorder, the big one is sun exposure. One of the best things I ever did for my seasonal affective disorder is move my office out to my porch. And yes, it gets a little cold in the winter, but I have windows on 3 sides of the room, and that makes a ginormous difference in how much sun exposure I'm getting. But if you're in a situation that you're not getting that, I really encourage you to use a happy light or some daylight spectrum bulbs in the house. Make sure you're getting 20 to 30 minutes of that a day. and it will really help you with dealing with winter blues or SADS, either one. So that's the big one. It's even better if you can step outside for a few minutes, but I understand with the weather, it can take a little more courage than you may have. It's a little more courage than I have sometimes. So just try to work it in one way or the other to get some of that sunlight. Another big one is social connections. And yes, I know with season, especially with SADS, you really don't want to have, you just want to just kind of cut people off. But it's important that you form a small circle of safe friends and family that you're checking in with consistently, or you're allowing them to check in with you and you're responding to them. You're not just ignoring them. You can even do some shared rituals, have some coffee together, go on a walks, double points for the walks, because that also helps with depression and SADS. Creating those cozy routines. So maybe you're doing Advent at night around, lighting the candles and under your favorite blanket. You could have accountability buddy. So if you're having a hard time getting yourself motivated and getting going, having someone keeping you accountable gently and kindly, but keeping you accountable can be very helpful. Third thing I want to share with you is your creative and sensory support. So this is where you can get your cozy hygge inspired spaces. Yay! So we've been talking about hygge and love languages here on the show, and you can go back and listen to those. We have another one dropping in 2 days. So this will be like your soft blanket, your candles, your cozy corners, some connection with people, some words of encouragement, whatever that could be. But having that space where you're doing that, you can also find a creative outlet that works for you. So that could be journaling, puzzling, drawing, music, decorating. I'm doing the whole Christmas winter decoration has been very much food for my soul lately, and I've really enjoyed that. Using some calming scents. So the stuff that you smell, you can be using citrus, which is really uplifting to the mood. Peppermint's another good one, especially if you can combine citrus and peppermint. Works really well. A pine, vanilla, these are some other uplifting smells. But getting some of those like essential oils in the house going, or you can smell that, it can really be helpful. And then I want to give you a bonus one, and I'll probably talk about this again on Thursday or the next episode, because it's so important, and that is getting professional help when needed. If you're way out on the spectrum of seasonal affective disorder and you are just having a really, really hard time functioning right now, please don't try to do this on your own. Yes, you can absolutely implement some of the practical tips I've given you, and they could have a huge help with you, a huge benefit. But please, if you need it, get some professional help. Get a counselor to help you with some therapy, some medication if you need to. Track your mood, your sleep, and your energy levels so you can communicate that to the professional and they can help you out. Do not try to do this on your own. If you're too far gone on the seasonal affective disorder or just dealing with trauma or of whatever kind or depression and you need help, please reach out and do that. Don't try to do it on your own. One of my biggest regrets in my wellness journey is waiting too long to ask for help. So don't do what I did. Reach out and get some help. It'll make a huge difference in your life. So next week, we're going to finish this up. We're going to give you some more practical tips, a self-check guide, some red flags when you can know you're moving from winter blues into seasonal affective disorder. The sooner you catch it, the better it is. So keep that in mind. We'll be covering that next week. Don't forget, on Facebook, you can download the self-check guide ahead of time. We'll also have a winter wellness checklist that you can use to help keep you on track for the winter. So until we meet again, be gentle with yourself, be kind. Find one warm, comforting thing today. So it could be a blanket, a cup of tea, a moment of sunlight, whatever that is, and just breathe it in and love it in that moment. And we'll meet you back here next time. Don't forget to join us on Facebook for those additional resources. Just look for Overcoming Depression and Anxiety Using Positive Psychology to Combat PTSD. The link's in the comments below as well. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.